Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz, and we are here going to be doing a review of this thing, which is the AC4 Sentinel, or as you may recognise it, the AC4 Experimental. However, what kind of gun do you think this is? 17 pounder? Certainly what's on the PC version. No, it's actually not a 17 pounder. Which I didn't know, but if we have a look here, it's actually a 75mm gun on this tank. And I didn't really have much wrong with the AC4 Experimental on PC. I mean, it has a good gun on PC, and it's a bit like a slower version of the Firefly. But a lot of people did have a problem with the fact that it was just a really immobile machine for a medium, comparing it to the Firefly, obviously. And so, those of you who disliked this machine in PC will no doubt dislike it more in Blitz, because it's the same thing, but with a worse gun, quite frankly. But let's get into it, shall we? So it's a tier 6 medium tank with 34% protection, 51% firepower, 74% shot effectiveness, and 60% maneuverability. It's got 970 HP, which, let's compare it to things like the Fury, which has got 980, and Panzer IV-S, which has got 950. So 970 is a pretty decent amount of HP for a tier 6 medium. As for the armor, 65 frontal hull, 50 sides, 65 rear, with the turret being 50 at the front, 35 at the side, and 65 at the rear for some reason. But I'm guessing that 65 at the rear is literally because this is ballast. So that's why it's 65, the same reason as the T-34 has got 279 rear turret armor, because that's all solid ballast to displace the weight of the gun. So I suppose it's just balance. Just balance for the gun and ballast in the turret. But overall, yeah, it doesn't really have that great armor. I mean, 65 at the front is decent at tier 4 with the AC1 Sentinel. As you see here it is. And it's decent at tier 4. At tier 6, not so much. So 60, what is it, 65, 50, 65 I think it is. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, rear armor sloped at least, so I mean, that'll ricochet some things. And from the front it's also slightly sloped here, and this is also a bit slopey. But generally, at tier 6, it's not that great. And the fact that the front of the turret is weaker than the rear of the turret is also a pretty big problem. So yeah, it doesn't really have that great armor. As for maneuverability, it's a 31.99 ton tank with a 520 horsepower engine. And let's have a look at the AC4, which is a 27 ton tank with a 330 horsepower engine. So it does get a better engine than on PC. And the fact that it can go 56 kilometers per hour is good. It's got decent traverse speed of 46.42, and it's got pretty decent turret traverse of 40.53. So that's good. There it is. It's a Gypsy Major 3A. 20% chance of fire and impact. So Gypsy Major 3A compared to 3 Cadillac V8s. So yeah, it does get a better engine on the tier 6 machine than the tier 4, which is good. Which is something that on PC people didn't like, because they had both the same engine for the AC1 and the AC4. So yeah, there's the turret. 245 meter view range. It's not that great, but it'll do. 36 ton load limit. So yeah, you've got a fair amount of weight that you can play around with there. But now we come to the gun, and this is something which may upset a fair amount of people, because this is a 75 gun Mark V rather than the 17 pounder Mark 7, I think, that it gets on PC. But it gets 11.47 rate of fire rounds per minute, which is decent, I mean, the Panzer IV's gets a 13.68 rounds per minute. I mean, the Fury gets 12.43, so it's slightly less than these two, but still better than your average Tier 6 gun. If we have a look, what does Cromwell? Tier 6 Cromwell gets 10.98, so yeah, it gets pretty good rate of fire. I mean, it gets 1 extra rounds per minute compared to, let's see, the VK gets a 9.26, so yeah, it has got a better rate of fire for your average medium tank gun than other tanks at the same tier. Let's just have one more look at one other thing. Easy 8, 10.94. So yeah, 11.47 rounds per minute. That's decent. So it's got a pretty good rate of fire. The armor piercing, you know, the average penetration 145. It's all right. It's not as much as you would perhaps like from it, but it's still decent enough penetration. With APCR 202 penetration, 38 with high explosive. It's a 75mm gun, so yeah, 160 is going to be what you're used to. 0.33 accuracy, which is very good. That's a very accurate gun with a 4.2 second aim time, which is also very good. But don't forget, this is modified by my improved vents and my gun rammer, so yeah. But either way, so now let's actually look at the equipment. So yeah, gun rammer and improved vents always useful. Gun lane drive, you don't really need it on this tank. Tanks filled with CO2 and wet ammo rack in case you keep getting ammo racked or set on fire. Camo net and binos, maybe not, but then again, this does suit a more sniping role that medium tanks otherwise wouldn't really take, because it can be a medium tank to roll around in, but it can also deal as a sniper like the PC version, just with slightly less penetration. But if you don't want binos, then you can always go coated optics, because coated optics is always useful. Spore liner, no, not really. You don't really need it. Well, I say you don't really need it. I mean, it doesn't really work for the tank because the armor is not that great. So I would advise probably against medium spore liner. And then a toolbox is always just something useful. As for the ammo, it can hold 70 rounds, which means that you can load up a whole load of APCR on here if you want. But yeah, you've got a lot to play around with. That's a large capacity. And now you've got your standard, well, your provisions. So you've got standard or improved fuel for +3 or 10% respectively to engine power or tire traverse. Then you've got black tea or pudding and tea for +3 or 10% respectively to crew mastery, restricted to the UK vehicles. And then you've got protective kit, 15% to protection of crew from injuries, 10% speed of module repair, 20% fire protection, and 10% ammo and fuel tank durability. Activated automatically permanent throughout a battle, as are all of these. So if you want, then you can go ahead and put some of these provisions on. And UK vehicles, this is technically Australian. The AC, the actual AC1 and AC4 actually refer to Australian Cruiser 1, Australian Cruiser 4. So yeah, they're Australian vehicles, but of course there is no Australian tech tree, so the UK vehicles will have to deal with these Aussies coming in. But yeah, so as for consumables, of course I've gone repair kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, which is your standard loadout, and then you've also got engine power boost, 20% to engine power for 15 seconds with a 75-second cooldown. Adrenaline plus 20% load speed, 10% chance of damaging enemy vehicle modules. Same thing. Same cooldown and things. And then you've got the multi-purpose restoration pack, which is these three rolled into one. And if you've seen any of my other Blitz reviews, then you'll know what I'm about to say when I go over these things. If this is your first review, hi. And you'll also hear me rant about these things for the 500th time. Because I'm getting really bored of saying these things for every review, but they have to be said. So the reason you can, of course, go with these, and you can, of course, go with the multi-purpose restoration pack, because if you go one of these, and one of these, then you'll obviously want one of these for all these three rolled into one. But the reason that I go with all three of these, individually at least, is because say you've got engine power boost and adrenaline fitted, and one of these multi-purpose restoration packs, and your track gets blown off. You have to repair it, so you use your multi-purpose restoration pack. You burn your multi-purpose, and you repair your track, and off you go. Then 10 seconds later, you get set on fire. What do you do after that? Because you can't put out the fire because you've still got an 80-second cooldown on this thing because you've used it 10 seconds earlier to repair your track. So you've been set on fire, you can't put it out because you've used it, and adrenaline isn't going to help you, neither is engine power boost. So yeah, that's why I go with these three individually, because I prefer to be able to repair my ammo or my track with the repair kit, and then still be able to put out a fire if I get set on fire with the repair kit, or fire extinguisher. So yeah. But overall, that is the AC4. Let's see. Oh, Inferno. But yeah, so this is the AC4 Sentinel, or the AC4 Experimental, but it's not really experimental because it doesn't have the 17 pounder, which made it experimental. But anyway, so overall, it's certainly not going to be a usual thing to see on the battlefield. Indeed, they're actually selling it with the AC4, or the AC1, sorry, which I already have. But you know, AC1, AC4, may as well. Plus some gold and various other things. But it's definitely not going to be something that you're going to be likely to see a lot of them. But the gun, whilst being underwhelming, is decent enough. It's got pretty good maneuverability. It's better maneuverability than the PC version, that's for sure. And it's a pretty rare thing to see. I'm not actually putting it on primary with all my other rare things to see, because I only count rare things as something rare that you see on either Blitz or on PC. So yeah, these things, they're pretty rare to see. KV5, it's fairly rare. Things like the Tankenstein, that's really rare, along with the Independence T34 and the T23-3. But yeah, it's a pretty rare thing to see, and it's a pretty decent tank. Overall, I would say give it a go, because I was expecting it to be underwhelming, as is the PC version, but actually it's a decent tank, maybe better than it is on PC. So thank you for watching.